This seems pretty sweet. It seems to be working out so far. We've got Greg. He is playing the Breach combo deck, as we see here. And then Andrew, I'm not certain what he was playing.
I'm also not sure what Andrew's on. But we're starting off right here. We've got Greg on the play. Temple Go. So Creighton's
certainly not.
mono
black, not mono green. All right. So I think mono black is a much better matchup here for Creighton than mono green would be.
Yeah, this is also going to be much more interactive.
Yeah. The fact that we're seeing turn 1 duress in game 1 tells me that he's definitely got his 4 Thoughtseizes in his deck, along with additional discard spells.
Yeah.
So he's probably come prepared for this matchup. Here's Sylvan Scrying off the top. That's probably like the best card in Greg's deck here.
I've actually played against Greg a fair amount on this deck, and he always draws Sylvan Scrying on turn 2. Never before. It's actually a problem. He's really good at ripping it on the turn he wants to cast it, and never prior.
All right, well,
and never after.
Godspeed. All right, here's Knight of the Open Legion on the second turn of the game. Creighton's hand looks a little bit subpar for this matchup. I think there are 3 copies of Murderous Rider in his hand.
That's what it looks like.
Certainly not where you want to be in this
exactly where
matchup.
Greg wants him to be, actually.
That's fairly true, though. I'm sure he's not thrilled about getting duressed on turn 1. Looks like Greg actually has stage and field here.
Oh.
So he's going to be set up for a pretty successful turn 4 combo here.
He's going to tap that for green, play his stage.
Yeah, play the Arboreal Grazer, put the field into play.
Sacrifice those 2 unnecessary lands.
Yep, and then he's going to end up, unfortunately not with the extra mana here to be able to actually end up comboing off this turn or anything, but he will end up with at least 1 extra mana. I believe I agree. He's probably got a strategic planning or something similar coming off here. Strategic planning is, in fact,
so looking for a land here. No, he doesn't.
No, we don't need a land. We're looking for Hidden Strings, which looks like he's found.
Right there. So he's got Temple, Blaststone, Hidden Strings, right? Those are the 3 cards
and
there.
his hand is now Hidden Strings, Pour Over the Pages, and Fae of Wishes, and so he's in a great position to untap, make Lotus Field a copy, untap, win the game. So he's looking at winning not next turn.
He gets to win just next turn, probably. Or possibly.
Possibly, yeah.
Untap, draw lands.
Absolutely.
Make that
totally plausible.
Of Lotus Field, untap both Lotus Fields, cast Pour Over the Pages, untap both Lotus Fields, and we're ready to go.
So here we see Creighton spends his 3rd turn of the game.
Vizier of the Tumbling Sands was that draw.
Actually just does it as well.
Yeah. So we're going to make some mana. We're going to net a mana draw card.
Yep.
Fae of Wishes. Oh, we're ready.
I mean, he had the Fae of Wishes last turn. That wasn't what he drew.
Okay.
Though I didn't get a good look at what he did draw. We'll see what he wants to do on this turn. Looks like he's just going to copy here for now. So we'll have 2 mana floating after the copy. That is enough to strings if he wants to. I think he drew another Vizier of Tumbling Sands. So he's going to go ahead and Hidden Strings his lands. He's going to untap them, and he's pretty live to win the game on this turn. Pour Over the Pages needs to be... it was a Satyr Wayfinder. All right. So Pour Over the Pages needs to be good to him here. But if it is, he's probably going to win the game on this turn. No Breach.
There's a Hidden Strings, and there's some other blue card.
Hidden Strings, Strategic Planning, Yavimaya Coast.
Oh.
Ooh, we're discarding Strategic Planning? I do not agree with this.
Excuse me, sir? Wasn't that how you win this game?
I mean, it looks like this turn we're probably just going to put like an Ugin into play or something. Well, we probably don't have enough mana for that.
I don't think... I think... Why did we do that?
Yeah, I would have preferred to have the Strategic Planning in my hand as opposed to the Satyr Wayfinder for sure here. We'll see what he wants to get. He's just going for the Tome Scour. Am I missing something here?
I think...
We don't have a Breach.
I'm so confused. Greg is next leveling us. Or something.
I'm perplexed. I mean, so it looks like...
Oh, he messed up.
It sounds like he thought he just had a Breach in play.
All right.
The producer's like, all right, so I can demonstrate this... he just doesn't have a Breach.
Strings again.
I think that our plan is now cast the Fae of Wishes. And then next turn pick it up and grant it for Breach.
All right.
I think that that's the plan here. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good one for what it's worth.
He has a headache.
I mean, I guess you can also cast the Satyr Wayfinder because it replaces itself, right? With a land.
Yeah.
And then you end up with a 1/1 that can block. Like, that seems like an upgrade. Assuming you don't whiff, which certainly did not, as there are 3 Botanical Sanctums on top of Craig's deck. So we didn't cast the Fae of Wishes. That's probably fine. You don't really want it to get fatal pushed here when you can't
do
the thing, and you're probably not going to be pinched on mana next turn. So,
all right. So, Greg with a spectacular turn, shipping it back to Creighton.
Spectacular whiff on a turn. That's for sure.
Slams a Murderous Rider, passes.
Yeah, and thankfully for Greg, that's quite the relief here as far as turns go. Just a land off the top here for Greg. But that's fine. He's probably going to want to discard these cards to this Fae of Wishes to get it back. Of course, there is a copy of Underworld Breach in this deck's sideboard for exactly scenarios like this, so you can go granted for it. And then, he already has the combo, right? He already got the Tome Scours.
So he's Fae Wish go.
I don't like not just immediately returning it. I really don't want to activate my Fae of Wishes and get it, like, fatal pushed.
Or get the piece to rest. Because, like, if he went right there and he, like, main phase, pick it up, like, granted.
Yeah, this is... So he blocks the Knight of the Ebon Legion, and then he picks it up. So he actually did dodge the thing there, but if Creighton hadn't pumped there, then... He actually had the Murderous Rider in his hand, and he could have swift-ended the Fae of Wishes in response.
Punished. Greg drew another Fae of Wishes, so it's not like
I guess it didn't matter anyway, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of not immediately returning. We're at 11. I think we're really live to win the game on our next turn. I guess we actually probably are a little bit too pinched on mana to win the game this turn.
We are.
Yeah, we only are going to end up with a single red floating after we get a breach here. So we can't win the game this turn. We're going to need to untap again next turn. But I guess that this 1/4 is just going to come into play here. Yeah, seems totally reasonable.
Was there actually a world where we got to keep a blue... There was a world where we got to keep a blue floating, right? If we tapped our mana a little differently. This gets fatal push.
No. We could have left a blue floating, but that doesn't let us combo off.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, so this is not quite lethal. Means that Greg's going to get to untap and win. All right, that was a little bit tumultuous. It was a little bit rockier than it needed to be, but I think that Craig's going to win anyway, so...
Never.
Yikes. That was pretty spooky.
So here we have one of our few 2-0s going at it, really with really tight gameplay.
Howdy, the old Chris Putin. How's it going, Chris? Thanks for tuning in here. We got Greg comboing off, so for those of you that aren't familiar with this combo... I'll narrate it here very quickly as Greg goes through the combo. So you have Underworld Breach in play. You're going to cast Tome Scour by exiling 3 cards from your graveyard. That'll mill the top 5 cards of your library. You are going to then cast Tome Scour again by exiling 3 cards and doing that. You're doing this by tapping the 6 mana you have from your 2 stages. After you've cast it 4 times, you are then going to cast Hidden Strings by exiling 3 cards, which you have plenty of excess from, because every time you Tome Scour yourself, you only have to exile 3 of the 5 cards you mill to Tome Scour again. And then you're going to untap both your lands and make 6 more mana. So essentially, for every iteration of this, you get to mill yourself for 20 cards, and you end up neutral on mana. And then you end up only exiling, only exiling 15 cards. So you'll end up with 5 cards in your graveyard, 20 cards out of your deck into your library, and then 15 of them into exile. And that's neutral on mana. So you're going to end up milling your entire deck and then casting Thassa's Oracle to win the game. And you have plenty of excess mana with which to cast Hidden Strings multiple extra times if you need to be able to deal with any problematic permanents while you're at it. So here we see Greg quickly going through the motions here. Creighton did his damnedest this game. I think he was destined to lose. Pretty much no matter what, given how the draws lined up. I wasn't super crazy about a couple of the lines. The most important one, I thought, was when he could have held up the Swift End to Swift End the Murderous Rider, or Swift End the Fae of Wishes, with the return trigger on the stack after Greg had discarded the 2 cards. Then Greg drew Fae of Wishes like a champion,
anyway,
as it turned out. So it didn't actually matter, and here's the Jace Wielder of Mysteries that's going to win the game here. And
and that's game 1.
That is the end of game number 1 here. So nice little quick combo there from Greg. Well done. Let's take a look at the sideboards here for both of the players. Over on Creighton's side, he's got 4 copies of Gifted Aetherborn, 2 Noxious Grasp, Allegiance End, 2 Lost Legacy, 2 Drillbit, 2 Cry of the Carnarium, a Pithing Needle, and an Erebos' Intervention. What sounds good here?
All right. 2 Lost Legacy.
Yep.
Snap it off.
Those are great.
2 Drillbit. not close.
Certainly.
And this Pithy Needle seems cute. Needle on stage is actually
pretty good. Yeah,
it's actually a fine way to slow your opponent down by just enough in your aggro deck to get there.
Absolutely, needle on stage is pretty good. You can even needle on Ugin, the Spirit Dragon, if you need to.
Yeah, that card's disgusting.
Which is pretty reasonable. The Erebos' Intervention is one I kind of want to talk a little bit about. So that is Black X Exile. The mode that we care about here
exile
X. Twice X cards from target player's library. It is an instant.
Okay.
And that's pretty good. I mean, that can safely disrupt the combo. Over on Greg's side, if he casts Underworld Breach and then you go in response, all right, I will exile your graveyard, or at the very least the important pieces of your graveyard. That's going to be a Time Walk plus a lot of the time. Yeah. So let's take a look at Greg's sideboard. Obviously, this is a wish board, so
there's a lot.
We've got one Natural State, one Niv Mizzet Perun, two Dissenter's Deliverance, one Jace Wielder of Mysteries, one Anger of the Gods, one Alpine Moon, one Thought Distortion, one Tome Scour, one Underworld Breach, one Unravel the Aether, one Ratchet Bomb, one Ugin the Spirit Dragon, one Hour of Devastation, and one Supreme Verdict, I believe that is.
Yeah.
So most of this is a wish board, I said, for these Fae of Wishes.
I actually don't know what Dissenter's Deliverance does.
Dissenter's Deliverance is destroy target artifact with cycling.
Okay.
It's 2-mana instant.
So not coming in.
I mean, it's probably coming in because he has to worry about Damping Spheres.
Oh, sure.
Damping Sphere is a card that Greg probably has to play around in every matchup.
That makes sense.
I would expect Damping Spheres from a mono black deck. We see Creighton doesn't have any, but I don't think that's probably not normal, and even if it isn't, I assume Greg has to play around it.
Yeah. Also, this Ratchet Bomb looks nice.
Ratchet Bomb looks excellent. Definitely want that one. I quite like this Niv Mizzet in this matchup. I think that slamming a 6-mana Niv Mizzet is probably just going to be game over.
That's understandable.
So I'm pretty into that one, and I think that's it. I think we're probably bringing in 2 Dissenter's Deliverance, a Ratchet Bomb, and a Niv Mizzet. Most of the time, I could also see a case for bringing in the Anger of the Gods as well.
That's fair.
There are plenty of sweepers in the sideboard to be able to go find when you have a bunch of mana and Fae of Wishes and all that if you need a sweeper. But the Anger of the Gods just being in your deck is often going to buy you a lot of time if you just draw it and play it on turn 4 or something. So looks like Creighton keeping a 7-card hand here. Greg, no good. He'll find himself with 6 cards now.
So with Creighton on the play, what do we want to see from him to have this matchup go in his favor, or this game?
All right, well, step 1, your opponent mulligan to 5. Excellent. A+. Keep it up, Creighton. Step 2. After your opponent mulligans to 5.
Hit him with all the hand disruption.
Yeah, I want Thought Seizes and Duresses galore. Yeah, hit him with it. I really want to see a threat on turn 1 followed by disruption on turn 2. I think that is the particular order you want. Turn 1 plays in the Lotus Breach deck, but there are a lot of turn 2 plays you care about. Sylvan Scrying. Hopefully the audio has returned at this point. So, all right. Yep, we're good. We're good.
Audio's back.
We're having a little bit of weird audio issues.
I think we just need to get a new cord.
Yeah, I think we need a new cord. Regardless, while we were dead there, we missed turn 1, Knight of the Open Legion, followed by 2 discard spells, which I'm not sure how much of this you missed, but we said that was the nuts.
Yeah, and he did it.
And he did it. That being said, Greg has successfully put a Lotus Field into play here.
And
he's got a Thespian stage, so...
Oh, and is that a Pour Over the Pages? Is that blue card in his hand?
I believe it is. So, like...
That's insane.
He's really live.
He's really doing it.
Yeah, really live to win the game. Is that a Fatal Push in Creighton's hand? I do not think we want a Fatal...
Well, Fatal Push hits Fey Wishes when he wants to, like, pick it up.
Yeah, but that's just not a play pattern.
You're super right.
That I'm really happy with.
But, like, if we're trimming cards and we have to leave a Fatal Push in, if we have to leave, like, a dead card in, Fatal Push is one of, like, it's a dead card that, like, sometimes
at least it kills our Boreal Grazer, like...
Yeah.
Which matters, I guess, but yeah.
Make it a thing. Pour.
If Greg wins this game, I'm gonna go...
Oh, there's Underworld Breach, there's Sylvan Scrying... Oh man!
So these are the type of games where your opponent played you mulliganed 5. Your opponent's first 2 turns of the game were literal perfect.
So now he gets to play Thespian Stage, Underworld Breach, Pour Over the Pages again.
Yeah.
His hand is 2 Sylvan Scryings. Other than that,
he does get to do that. Now, granted, that is not pun intended. Granted, that is not a sustainable plan. Excuse me. As you do go down on cards in your graveyard every time you do that. You end up on mana, though, every time you do it. So you do get to look at 3 cards every time, but you're going to go down.
I think all you need to do it is twice, though, and you're set. Like, that's drawing 6
cards is usually enough to get you there. So
this is...
Now we'll see Greg. He's got 2 red and an untapped Lotus Field, or Thespian Stage imitating a Lotus Field here. And he can go ahead and cast his Pour Over the Pages here. He's going to get to dig some. And even if Greg whiffs on this turn, he's still really likely to end up in a very strong position because he's casting, he's going to draw so many cards. Yeah. And this one, kind of a whiff, though a redundant copy of Underworld Breach.
Well,
not too bad.
That's actually good if he fails to whiff this turn.
The redundant Underworld Breach is pretty nice. He gets
to cast Pour Over the Pages 2 more times this turn.
Yeah.
At least.
At a minimum. You usually want to keep...
The strategic planning actually lets him get to cast it again, too.
Oh, yeah, the strategic planning is really good. Yeah. I think Greg's likely to win the game this turn.
It would actually be really surprising.
Well over 50, I think.
And it's a little silly, given the fact that he rolled a 5 and got doubled rest.
So he cast the strategic planning here, which ended up taking him off of the Pour Over the Pages, but now he found the hidden strings. So now he wins. That's it. He got there.
He needs the Tombscour, right?
Yeah, but he has Fey Wishes in his graveyard.
I thought Creighton was picking it up.
I mean, he should be. The game's over. This is stupid. What the hell is this? He only get to 5 and Creighton had the perfect hand. This game sucks.
Wait.
I mean, this is the loop. Yeah, he's done.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, this game sucks.
All right, well, that was that.
What the hell? I feel so cheated.
Greg effectively molded 3.
We hype up the literal perfect scenario. Your opponent mulligans to 5. You have turn 1, Knight of the Avid Legion, turn 2, double discard. And then your opponent kills you on turn 4? I hate that. What the hell is this? I feel cheated for him. This is absurd. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do in Creighton's spot. And even game 1, if you played perfectly, Greg just ripped it anyway.
He would have drawn it like an absolute champion. Oh man, Craig, just what? I can imagine Creighton walking up to his friends this game like, well, my opponent tried to combo off without an Underworld Breach in play. And did it anyway. And then my opponent mulliganed to 5. I played turn 1 threat, turn 2 double Thoughtseize, turn 3 threat, and then he killed me on turn 4.
Oh no!
What on earth? All right. So I want to take a quick moment here to thank our second sponsor for the stream. Tabletop is the absolute best in board game apparel clothing brand. They make awesome hoodies, t-shirts, sweatshirts, everything like that. If you're into board games and